Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. But science is not. Science is not in the eye of the beholder. I mean, you just run up against facts.
Bill Maher has ripped into the Democrats once again, and it's brutal. The far-left zealots shoved endless woke garbage down America's throat, and Maher is dismantling them piece by piece. On a recent episode of Real Time with Bill Maher, the comedian dragged the woke mob through the mud, torching them for glorifying reckless and unhealthy choices. This wasn't comedy. It was a political flamethrower. If you thrive on raw, unapologetic truth bombs, smash that subscribe button and let's keep going.
It is interesting. Now that we have Ozempic, I hear much less about the body positivity movement, which was always Orwellian. It was always Orwellian to say that being fat was body positivity. It is the exact opposite, or this bullshit about how you could be healthy at any way.
Right off the bat, Maher shredded the woke mob's hypocrisy on obesity, and he didn't hold back. Not too long ago, if you dared to suggest that someone overweight should exercise or eat healthier, you'd be instantly labeled fat-phobic and cancelled into oblivion. Social media was overflowing with influencers glorifying reckless habits, dressing it all up as body positivity. The loud, self-righteous, woke crowd cheered this on, urging people to stay trapped in unhealthy lifestyles and pretend it was empowerment. But now the tune has flipped. Suddenly, everyone's rushing to grab a prescription for Ozempic to shed pounds overnight. Turns out body positivity was never empowerment. It was another hollow feel-good sham pushed by the woke Democrats.
But the reality is that people throughout time have an idea of classical standards of beauty. And in our case, in our civilization, there have been an American standard of beauty that actually reflects what people want. And so
fat was in at a time. You can see it in the paintings, but it's when people were poor and food was,
a sign of
that's right. And in certain cultures, like the Pacific Islander cultures, there's different cultural ramifications. But the reality is that more people would rather be, petite, trim, low body fat, than be 500 pounds. And I think that's what
maybe in your white
proves.
world, but I mean, that's not everybody.
Except for very few rare cases. Being overweight is universally linked to poor health. No matter the race, culture, tradition, or tribe you come from, human biology doesn't bend to political correctness. It's simple math. The body was never designed to carry excessive fat without consequences. At its core, the principle is straightforward. Don't consume and store more fuel than your body can realistically burn. When you do, that excess energy doesn't just vanish. It lingers, turning into fat deposits that put dangerous strain on the heart, joints, and vital organs. Over time, those extra pounds can pave the way to diabetes, heart disease, and a shorter life. Health isn't cultural, it's biological, and ignoring that truth is deadly.
Top comics from the U.S. will perform at a festival in Saudi Arabia next month. I saw the poster. Wow. Some friends of mine. What does this suggest about how liberals view the country now? Yeah, I mean, some big names. I mean, Whitney Cummings is going over there. I think Bill Burr, Louis C.K. are performing in Saudi Arabia. Wow. I mean, who's going? Is my question.
It seems high risk. It seems like the thing that might end in a public beheading if you say the wrong thing. I would keep the jokes right within the lines. Yeah.
I don't think this is about politics and how they see Saudi Arabia. I think this is about this.
Oh, it is?
Yeah. How much are they being paid?
Saudi Arabia knows how to bribe. They did it with sports. Now they're doing it with comedy?
Yeah.
Wow.
Political principles tend to go out the window when there's enough money on the table.
Maybe Colbert get a job.
That's liberalism for you. Loud and proud about their sacred principles until money walks into the room, and suddenly those principles vanish faster than a campaign promise. Hypocrisy is practically baked into the brand. And here's the kicker. We're talking about a country where crossing the line with comedy isn't just career-ending. It could literally cost you your head. Yet, these so-called fearless comics don't bat an eye when the checks are fat enough. They'll gleefully perform for regimes that jail dissenters and silence critics while still lecturing the rest of us about morality. Yes, Saudi Arabia has introduced reforms, women driving, concerts, and cinemas. But let's not kid ourselves. At its core, the kingdom remains deeply conservative and the risks of stepping out of line are still brutally real. But to liberals chasing cash, those risks don't matter because when money talks, their morality walks.
Remember this, when President Trump ran for office the first time, his big chant at the rally was "lock her up." I was a little bit like, this seems a little extreme, not sure how I feel about this, but after he won, he said something very interesting. He said, that was a campaign thing, Hillary's fine, we're gonna all move on. And he didn't actually seek to prosecute his political opponents. But now, over the last 10 years, we've had Russiagate, we've had investigations, we've had indictments, we've had arrests, we've had the mugshot, we'd have a
Rufo is onto something fascinating here. And it's more than just theory, it's strategy. He argues that Trump should directly target his political enemies, namely the entrenched power players at the top of the Democrat Party. And frankly, it makes perfect sense. In his first term, Trump took the high road. He didn't go after his political opponents, choosing instead to focus on policy and governance. And what was the result? Endless investigations, fabricated scandals, and relentless persecution that dragged him through the mud at every turn. The lesson is clear. Restraint doesn't earn respect in Washington. It invites blood in the water. Rufo's point is brutally simple. Trump should hold his opponents accountable, not out of spite, but to send a warning that no one is above the law and no political office can be abused without consequences. It's justice, not revenge.
I know you've all been told that you can have it all, and you're a queen and a lady boss and that bitch. But maybe your judgy ass is no prize either. And if you jilt a guy for not thinking enough about Black Lives Matter, just tell me this. What have you actually done that made any more of a difference in any black life than what your inadequate ex-fiancé did? I asked Senator Adam Schiff here last week when the subject of Trump's sliding poll numbers came up. Okay, but how are the Democrats going to blow it this time? This is how. Posturing, purity tests, the politics of I unfriend you if you're not exactly with me 1,000%.
Yes, the Democrats are still fumbling away their chance to lead this country again. And the reason is as predictable as ever. Their obsession with moral grandstanding. Instead of uniting Americans around real solutions, they climb up on their self-built pedestals and preach down to the rest of us. It's a tired act, but one they can't seem to quit. Their favorite pastime, alienating half the country that refuses to bow to their radical woke policies. Ordinary Americans who care about jobs, security, and stability are treated as villains simply because they won't parrot the latest progressive talking points. And rather than learning from past defeats, Democrats double down, lecturing, shaming, and dividing. In the process, they are squandering the very opportunity to regain power. You'd think after 2016 and 2020, they'd have learned, but no. Alienation and arrogance remain their campaign strategy.
How do you define wokeness? Because I hear people use the term all the time, and it means something different to everybody.
Well, again, I think it's this collection of ideas that are not building on liberalism, but very often undoing it. I mean, 5 years ago, Abraham Lincoln was not a controversial figure among liberals. We liked him. Now they take his name off schools and tear down his statues. Really? Lincoln isn't good enough for you? 5-10 years ago, bedrock liberalism was we are striving to be a colorblind society where we don't see race. Of course, we see it, but it doesn't matter. That's not what woke is. Woke is something very different. It's identity politics. We see it all the time. It's always the most important thing. I don't think that's liberalism. I mean, I could mention so many issues like
In this clip, Bill Maher doesn't just criticize woke. He explains why he's on a mission to fight it head-on. For him, it's not about politics. It's about survival of common sense in a culture that's rapidly losing its grip on reality. Maher argues that woke ideology doesn't just annoy people. It actively chips away at the foundations of society. It replaces truth with dogma, reason with outrage, and merit with identity politics. At its core, it's anti-common sense, demanding that people deny basic facts in order to appear virtuous. And when a culture embraces lies over logic, destruction follows. That's why Maher calls it dangerous. It undermines trust, divides communities, and poisons discourse. He's blunt. If we don't push back, the woke agenda won't just irritate us. It will unravel the very fabric holding society together.
You get a certain amount of cult followers for anything, and then the true believers never die. I mean, a lot of people would say right now the Democratic Party is still in that mode, which is going to render them possibly an irrelevant party if they don't change.
What would you like to see from the Democrats, like, going forward?
Well, much more centrism, much more get rid of the woke baggage, you know. Old school liberal is what I usually describe myself as. But that's very often the opposite of woke. Woke would like people to believe that there's some sort of an extension of liberalism, but they're not.
Maher is absolutely right. The Democratic Party is on a slow march toward irrelevancy. And if they don't make a serious course correction, it's only a matter of time before they collapse into political oblivion. History is full of once powerful parties that rose with energy and promise, but crumbled because they refused to adapt or address the real concerns of the people. The Democrats are walking that same doomed path, clinging to ideological purity and woke grandstanding instead of solving kitchen table problems like the economy, security, and healthcare. Contrast that with Trump. When he realized parts of his strategy weren't working, he didn't double down on failure. He recalibrated, sharpened his message, and fought his way back to power. That's the difference between survival and extinction in politics. Adaptability. If Democrats can't shed their arrogance and face reality, Maher's warning won't just be commentary. It will be prophecy.
If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed. Alyssa Slotkin's right. Liberals are weak and woke, especially the white ones, and they indulge all sorts of nonsense from their kids, a pattern that then continues on in the Democratic Party.
Yep, the Democrats have become weak, spineless, and hopelessly addicted to woke ideology. They can't stand firmly on anything they claim to believe in, because the moment those beliefs are challenged, their entire platform collapses like a house of cards. Even their most cherished woke policies can't withstand real-world scrutiny. Push just a little, and the contradictions are exposed for everyone to see, leaving them bare, exposed, and embarrassed. This is exactly why Bill Maher warns that the Democratic Party is headed toward extinction. A party that can't defend its own ideas, that hides behind moral posturing instead of practical solutions, has no long-term future. Maher sees it clearly. When your foundation is built on performative virtue signaling instead of common sense, time is not on your side. Unless they rediscover backbone and reality, the Democrats are slowly but surely erasing themselves from relevance.
Last election, it was all the gender stuff, the insistence that men can have babies and such. And now I fear that we like the terrorists is the new that. Liberals need to push back on the dumb ideas that come from their children.